And in this second video of the effects of divorce on children, I want to start with number 5. The child may change his or her outlook on sexual behavior. So when the children see parents going through a divorce, often what happens is their sexual mores change. They may have been very solid as far as sexual morality was concerned, but once divorce takes place, there is an increased approval by children of divorced parents for premarital sex, for cohabitation, and also for divorce. There is earlier sexual activity among children of divorce in general than children of intact families. Girls whose fathers are no longer in the home before they were 5 years old were 8 times more likely to become pregnant as adolescents as girls from intact families. 8 times more likely. Children of divorce are resilient. They're happy when the parents are happy. Actually, that is a lie from divorce attorneys and adults wanting to solve their consciences, and people wanted to say, you have a right to divorce. A girl whose parents divorced before she is 5 years old have an 8 times more likely chance of getting pregnant as an unwed mother than a girl coming from an intact family. Boys likewise start sexual activities earlier, and they have higher rates of STDs. As adults, female children of divorced parents experience less trust and satisfaction in romantic relationships. Children of divorced parents are also less likely to view marriage as permanent. And why should they? They have seen their own parents who have committed to have a marriage that was supposed to last a lifetime for their children break their bonds from the very people that should be their heroes. They watch this stuff and they are less likely themselves to have a marriage that goes the distance. Another issue that children of divorce face is that children may lose their religious faith. And I would think that all the pastors and all of the elders and all of these godly Christian people out there would be protesting. Sometimes you find that the pastors are like, well, we really can't do anything about divorce. Pastors, elders, teachers, any type of Christians, children of divorce are more likely to lose their faith. Or as some children have written, become atheists, at least for a while, because of what they've gone through, because they cannot believe God would allow this. And church, if you are silent on this issue of divorce, you are guilty before God. Following a divorce, children are more likely to abandon their faith. More likely to abandon their faith. Well, we're going to just win back these children. No, what you should be doing is stopping the divorce and keeping the children intact. As adults, those raised in step families are less likely to be religious than those raised by both biological parents. Now, if you're an atheist, you might say, yeah, rah, hoorah, great. Or if you're an agnostic, that's good because we don't want to have some type of religious faith. But if you are a person of faith, you need to understand that your divorce has very significant consequences on the religious faith and practice of your children. Moreover, because religious practice tends to restrain sexual activity at younger ages, that's another reason why you have increased chances of pregnancy, STDs, and other things like that. The 7th thing that she mentioned is that the child may lose cognitive and academic stimulation. Children in divorced homes have less language stimulation. Children of divorced parents are more likely to have lower GPAs and may be asked to repeat a year. Well, the schools are just so terrible around here and the teachers aren't teaching right. It may be that the problem is family structure and parents who divorce, or at least one parent who divorces and breaks apart the family for any reason or for no reason. You are punishing your children in many instances with lower academic performance. There was a study of 11 industrialized countries that showed that children living in 2-parent families had higher math and science scores. Well, we have the science, technology, the STEM, the engineering, the mathematical. We have the STEM programs out there. If you have children of divorce, they are more likely to have lower scores in all of those areas. Children in single mother families were twice as likely to have been absent from school for 11 or more days in the past year due to illness or injury compared with children in two-parent families. I can tell you from personal experience, for 2 years I missed about 80 days of school. That's how it affected me. So I would fully agree with this last point here. Children of married parents attain higher income levels as adults. The difference between children from intact families versus children of divorced families, by and large, is significant and huge. An intact family with a natural mother and father provides a huge benefit to children as they progress, not just academically, but throughout their careers. Furthermore, according to this pediatrician, children of divorce may be less physically healthy. Fewer children in nuclear families were considered to be poor in health than children in non-nuclear families. So children in the nuclear families, about 12% were considered to be non-healthy. About 22% of the children in non-nuclear families were considered to be non-healthy. And this was a study done by the CDC and NCHS National Health Interview Survey in 2012. Emergency room use is higher for children in all other family types over that experienced by children in nuclear families. You want to keep your children out of the emergency room? One thing that you can do is keep your marriage intact. And again, a pediatrician is saying we need to support public policies that encourage strong marriages. The divorce attorneys will tell you, if you want to get divorced, it's your right. Children are resilient. They just want to see you happy. If you're happy, they're happy. They're going to bounce back. It's a lie. The divorce attorneys profit off of destroying your family. Pediatricians want to see your children grow into healthy adults. Children in nuclear families are less likely than children in other family types to have learning disabilities or attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, regardless of the parent's education, income, or area of residence. And this is from Family Structure and Children's Health in the United States in 2010. Children living with married parents are less likely to be abused or neglected. And this is one of the things that the Texas Family Law Foundation and all these divorce attorneys will say, we've got to protect these children. We've got to allow a divorce to take place because the children that are in a marriage of conflict, they say conflict, I don't know exactly what they mean because any marriage has conflict at different times. Any children in a marriage of conflict, they're likely to experience some type of abuse or neglect or maybe even violence. And yet in this study, it says that the relative risk that children from a single parent family would be physically abused or neglected more than doubled that of the counterparts in intact families. Finally, as far as the effects on children, the children may have a higher risk of emotional distress. A study done in Sweden, and Sweden is one of these great countries. They've got very liberal divorce laws. We should go to Sweden. We should find all of these children that are just emotionally healthy. Well, a study done of almost 1 million children in Sweden demonstrated that children growing up with single parents were more than twice as likely to experience a serious psychiatric disorder, commit or attempt suicide, or develop an alcohol addiction. So much for Sweden as our role model. And so much for the lies of the divorce attorneys and the Texas Family Law Foundation. Children of single parents are twice as likely to have emotional and behavioral problems, 8% versus 4% from children of two-parent households. The Centers for Disease Control reported on adverse family experience among children in non-parental care. The study found this: children living with one biological parent were between 3 and 8 times as likely as children living with two biological parents to have experienced neighborhood violence, caregiver violence, or caregiver incarceration, or to have lived with a caregiver with mental illness or an alcohol or drug problem. So for all of these people, and this includes the legislators in the state of Texas who will say, we don't want to repeal unilateral no-fault divorce. When you take such a thing, you are voting for these negative effects on children. I listed 9 right here. This came from a pediatrician a pediatrician looking out for the health of the kids, not from the Texas Family Law Foundation and divorce attorneys who profit off of the destruction of families. When you vote on this issue, you need to vote for children, not against children. Vote for the repeal of unilateral divorce, not for the continuation of unilateral divorce. Thank you.